So let us start the class now. It's already 4:09.
Yes, yes.
कितना लोग join? 50 have joined. मतलब 46. Should. Okay, so let us start. So today's experiment, we are going to do experiment number 5. It's experiment number 5. So experiment number 5 is related to delta modulation, generation of delta modulation and demodulation. So experiment 4 you have already completed. In experiment 4, what did you study? In experiment 4, it was related to PCM, that pulse code modulation, and TDM, time division multiplexing. So in same context, now we are going to do experiment number 5, which is delta modulation. So which is almost related to PCM only. Both the functions of PCM and delta modulation both are same. So as I've told you before also, that now we are slowly moving into the digital communication part. Experiment number 4, you did TDM and PCM. So TDM and PCM were a combination of both analog and digital. TDM was a part of analog communication. PCM was a part of digital communication. Now experiment number 5, which is delta modulation, is purely a digital communication. Means both PCM as well as DM, they are both the parts of digital communication. And in digital communication, which you are currently doing in DCT, the subject DCT in 5th semester, which you have. So we have already completed PCM. I think most of the groups might have already completed. So this PCM, so there are 4 methods of converting analog signal into digital signal. So what are those 4 methods? One is your pulse code modulation. Another is your differential pulse code modulation. Third is your delta modulation. And fourth is adaptive delta modulation. So these are the 4 methods which are called as waveform coding techniques. Waveform coding techniques. So you can see here the third one, which is delta modulation. That is what we are going to do in the experiment today. So because it is not done in the in your DCT syllabus until now, because we have to do DPCM and then go to DM. So little bit of idea we need to give it to you. So therefore PCM, DPCM, that is pulse code modulation, differential pulse code modulation, delta modulation, adaptive delta modulation, these are all classified as waveform coding techniques. The function of all these techniques are basically to convert the analog signal into digital pulses, analog input signal converted to digital pulses. Then if all have the same purpose, then why are these 4 being studied? Means each one of them have their own advantage and disadvantage, and each one is overcoming the drawback of the other. So first we have already studied PCM and seen how sampling, quantizing and encoding, these 3 processes have helped us to convert analog signal into PCM signal in the pulse code modulation. Then next comes differential pulse code modulation. Differential pulse code modulation is overcoming the drawback of the pulse code modulation. So DPCM overcomes the drawback of PCM. Then the third one, which is delta modulation, which we are going to do today in the experiment, this delta modulation overcomes the drawback of both PCM and DPCM. So delta modulation, so differential pulse code modulation, DPCM, is overcoming the drawback of PCM, and delta modulation is overcoming the drawback of DPCM, and adaptive delta modulation is overcoming the drawbacks of DM. So all are overcoming the drawbacks of each other, and they're ultimately their purpose, all of them are converting analog signal into digital pulses and giving better quality as the technology is improving in all of them. So in that context, so delta modulation which we have today, delta modulation is also a type of waveform coding technique. Waveform coding technique means that it will convert analog signal into a digital signal. Waveform coding technique, converting analog input signal into a digital signal. So now the principle of delta modulation is slightly different from PCM, which we have done in the last class. So for that, what is done in delta modulation is first of all to understand the principle. So I'm not going to very much detail because we have to do the lab also. I'm just giving you the idea what is happening in DM. So if we see PCM, in PCM, what is happening in PCM? We are doing sampling, quantizing, encoding. Our input signal is analog, output signal is a sequence of pulses. So first we'll see what was done in PCM. In PCM, first we were sampling the signal, then quantizing it, then encoding it. Now, if the signal suppose is of 1 kilohertz input frequency, if the frequency, maximum frequency of input signal, analog signal is 1 kilohertz, and when we are sampling the signal, the first process is sampling. When we take the samples of the signal, we have to satisfy the minimum sampling rate. Fs is equal to 2 FM max. So that means for a 1 kilohertz of input signal, we are taking 2 kilohertz of sampling rate, that is 2000 samples per second. 2000 samples per second. So that means I will have minimum 2000 samples of this analog signal. TS, 2TS, 3TS, 4TS, 5TS. To minimum I should have 2000 TS samples per second in order to recover it from recover this signal XT from its samples. So now that means in pulse code modulation, what is happening is when we get 2000 samples here, minimum, so for an example, then each and every sample value is quantized, it is encoded, quantized, encoded. So all the sample values will be quantized and encoded in case of PCM, and we are using n-bit encoding here. N-bit encoding means we can go for 3-bit, n equal to 4-bit, n equal to 5-bit. So any n-bit encoding used in PCM, all this we have already discussed. Now the problem here is, what is the problem with PCM is that since we have a number of samples here, since we will have minimum 2000 samples with us, then what would be what is the expected sample value? Suppose my first sample value is 1.1 volt. Second sample value I will get is 1.11 volt. Third sample value I may get is 1.2 volt. Fourth one I might get is 1.21 volt, and so on. So if I have more number of sample values, then the value of the sample, the values of the sample will not be changing to a significant, means you will not observe a significant change in the value of the samples. If we have a large number of samples with us, then there will be no significant change in the value of the sample. Samples, there will be very less change in the sample values that we are getting if we take many number of samples together. So this is the present scenario in PCM, and therefore each sample in PCM, all these samples, whether it is 1.1, 1.11, 1.2, each of them are quantized and encoded. So this phenomenon, this resulting number of samples which are not changing its value significantly, this phenomenon is giving rise to a drawback which is called as redundancy. Redundancy means we are getting many redundant bits or many redundant values are obtained in PCM when we are sampling the signal, and we are encoding each one of them, and a lot of redundancy is there. This is a drawback where we are redundancy means that once we get large number of sample values in PCM, the values of the samples are not changing significantly, and still we are quantizing and encoding, and we are getting large number of redundant values in case of PCM, which is giving rise to a more channel bandwidth requirement in case of PCM. So now, in order to reduce redundancy, reduce the channel bandwidth, improve SNR, improve the SNR. These three important advantage where we can get. We can reduce redundancy in PCM, we can reduce the channel bandwidth requirement, we can improve the SNR. These three things we can obtain if instead of transmitting each and every value, if we transmit the difference between the adjacent values. Instead of sampling and quantizing each of these values, if we quantize and encode the difference between the adjacent values, the difference between the adjacent values, then what will happen? Then the number of values will be reducing, so redundancy will reduce. If we are taking the difference between the sample values and then transmitting, then peak value will also reduce. You see here, if I'm taking the difference between 1.1 volt and 1.1 volt, 1.11 minus 0. So what is the difference I'm getting? 0.1 volt. So I will quantize and encode 0.01 volt for the first difference, for the difference between the first two adjacent values. The difference between the second two adjacent values here again, it is how much? It will be 0.01 volt. So I will quantize and encode 0.01 volt. Similarly, if I take the difference between these two, then something I will get 1.121 minus 1.12 what is it? 121. If I take the difference between 121 and 1.12, the two adjacent values, then this comes out to be 0.001. So this becomes 0.001 volt. So I will quantize and encode that. So if I am quantizing and encoding the difference between the adjacent values, then two things you are observing. Number one, that the redundancy has reduced, that we are instead of transmitting so many similar type of values, now we are suppose in this example currently, if I'm transmitting 5 values here, 1 2 3 4, and something or some other values here, 1.22. So if I'm transmitting 5 values in case of PCM, and in other case, if instead of transmitting all the 5 values, if I'm transmitting only the difference between the adjacent value, then I'm transmitting how many values? 3 values. So I have reduced the redundancy. That is the first thing. Second thing is that if you observe, when we take the difference between the adjacent values, then the difference here, suppose in this example, it is 0.01, next is 0.01, third is 0.001. So we are observing that when we take the difference between the adjacent values and get the new set of values, the peak amplitude amongst them is also reducing. We will get lesser value of MP if we take the difference between the adjacent values. Suppose in this example, in this 5 set, the peak value is how much? 1.222. So your peak value is 1.1222. For example, we are taking an example. So if I have 5 values here, so amongst the 5 values, the peak value is 1.122 volt. But if I take the difference between the adjacent values, and now I am getting 3 values here, so among this new set of 3 values, my peak value has now become 0.01 volt. So earlier peak value was 1.22 volt. Now the peak value is 0.01 volt among the 3 voltages that I have got. Now what is the importance of getting a reduced peak value? That the reduced peak value is now improving the SNR. How? So for that, if you remember in PCM, the PCM output SNR, the noise power in PCM, the formula is S square by 12, or delta square by 12 is the formula of the noise power in PCM. And delta or S is nothing but 2 MP by L. This is the formula. So if the peak value is reducing, isn't it? When we take the difference between adjacent samples, so peak value has reduced among them. So if peak value is reducing, step size is reducing. If step size is reducing, then what is happening? Noise power is also reducing. So if noise power is reducing, then what is happening to output SNR ratio? That is also improving. So therefore, we have got an added advantage. That is what I am writing here, that we have reduced redundancy. We have improved the SNR. SNR gets improved because peak amplitude will reduce. If we take the difference between adjacent sample, peak amplitude will reduce, and the step size will reduce, and therefore the output noise power will reduce, and SNR will improve, and also the bandwidth will also be reducing. So this concept is now applied in delta modulation. So in delta modulation, what is happening? That instead of transmitting each and every sample as we were doing in PCM, in delta modulation, we are quantizing and encoding the difference between the adjacent sample. And the important thing is here that the thing here is that in delta modulation, so now we are going into delta modulation. So delta modulation is called as 1-bit version of 1-bit version of DPCM, differential pulse code modulation. As I told you just now, we have PCM, DPCM, and then DM. So DM is an improvement upon DPCM. So differential pulse code modulation is this concept. Yeah, in differential pulse code modulation, which is overcoming the drawback of PCM, in DPCM, we are taking the difference between the adjacent samples and thereby reducing redundancy, then reducing the peak amplitude and improving the SNR, and also the reduction in bandwidth. So now, in the delta modulation is having a similar principle to DPCM, but it is a 1-bit version of DPCM. So delta modulation is called as 1-bit version of DPCM in the sense that here the number of encoded bits are only 1. In delta modulation, number of encoded bits are 1. And other important thing that we are doing in delta modulation is oversampling. We oversample the input signal here. Oversampling means we typically take 4 times the Nyquist rate. The sampling rate taken for delta modulation is 4 times the Nyquist rate. So by taking 4 times the Nyquist rate, suppose in the earlier case, my FM max was 1 kilohertz, Nyquist rate 2 FM max, I was taking 2 kilohertz, that is 2000 samples per second. So this 2 kilohertz of Nyquist rate, this minimum sampling rate was used in PCM and DPCM. In DM, what is done? In delta modulation, instead of using 2 kilohertz, I will be using 4 times of 2 kilohertz. At least I will take 8 kilohertz or 8000 samples per second. Okay, so 8000, that means I will have now 8000 samples with me in case of delta modulation. So now what is the advantage of this? Now if I have more, earlier I had 2000 samples in case of PCM and DPCM, now I have 8000 samples with me. So the more number of samples I will have, isn't it? Then the value of each sample will not be changing significantly. That means the value of the adjacent samples will be even closer. Okay, so the purpose of taking 8000 samples or 4 times the Nyquist rate in delta modulation is that if I have more number of samples, then definitely redundancy is more here, but we are exploiting that redundancy in delta modulation. So if I have more number of samples, the change in the next sample value, suppose 1.1 volt, next would be 1.111 volt, other would be 11.12 volt. So the next sample value that change will be even smaller. There will be no significant change, or there will be, the change is very small for the next sample values if we have more number of samples with us. So that is one part. Now what is the advantage of this? So now the advantage is that if the next sample value is not changing significantly, if we have more number of samples, then it is easy to predict. It becomes easier to predict the next sample value. Predict the next sample value. Next sample value. Predict. So here this new term has now arisen. Predict. So if we have more number of samples with us in case of delta modulation, in delta modulation, we are writing oversampling is done here. Typically 4 times Nyquist rate is used in delta modulation. With that, we get many more number of samples with us. If we have many more number of samples with us, then the value of each sample will not change significantly, and it will be easier for us to predict the next sample value in case of delta modulation. So therefore, the prediction concept is used here. Both in DPCM as well as in DM, prediction concept is used, that now in order to implement this process, that is in order to take the difference between adjacent samples, quantize and encode, this theoretical concept that we are saying, that in DPCM as well as in DM, what are we doing in DPCM as well as in DM? We are quantizing and encoding the difference between the adjacent samples. By doing that, the peak value has reduced, redundancy has reduced, and if peak value is reducing, SNR is improving, all that we have discussed. So this is in principle. This is theoretically, principally we are saying that in DPCM and DM, instead of transmitting each and every sample, we are transmitting the difference between the adjacent samples, but quantizing and encoding the difference between the adjacent samples. Now, therefore to implement this practically, to implement this process practically in the form of a circuit, what is done is we use an additional circuit which is called as a predictor. That predictor circuit will take the past values within it. The predictor circuit takes the past values. That means suppose 1.1 volt is the present value and 1.11 volt is the predicted value of 1.11. So 1.11 volt here, 1.11 volt will be called as the predicted value or prediction of 1.11. That means there are two ways of saying the same thing. I may say that I am taking the difference between the present value and its predicted value. Or I am saying that I am taking the difference between the two adjacent values. I may say that I am taking the difference between the adjacent value sample values, or I may say that I am taking the difference between the present value and its predicted value. So how did I get the predicted value? By the knowledge of the past value. Because we know, because we have more number of samples in delta modulation, we can now easily predict the next sample value from the past value. So a predictor circuit is used in the block diagram of delta modulation, which with the knowledge of past values will be able to predict the future value, the next value, and the difference between that present value, that is 1.11 volt, and its predicted value, that is 1.11 volt. That difference is called as prediction error, which will now be quantized and encoded in case of delta modulation. So therefore, I'm just sharing with you the one diagram now to quickly go into the circuit. So, so you see here. So all this you will do in your DCT subject also. Let me just scroll it. Okay. So here you can see this. If you see this diagram, from this diagram now it will be clear to you. So what is happening here? So okay, before I go to this diagram, you see this diagram. Yes. So here you can see this is a diagram of a transmitter of your delta modulation. Delta modulation is also called as linear delta modulation. Linear delta. So DM that we write is also called as LDM. So linear, why it is called linear delta modulation? Because the step size S is remaining constant in case of linear delta modulation. Now you see here, so what is done in this is that this is the transmitter of linear delta modulation or delta modulation. This is how practically that process is taking place. What process? That we have what have we done? We have oversampled the signal, oversampled the input signal, typically 4 times the Nyquist rate. Okay. So this is a theoretical concept. Theoretically, we have understood that we in delta modulation we are oversampling typically 4 times the Nyquist rate. We will get many number of samples with us, since much more number of samples with us whose value will not be changing significantly from each other. So it will be easy to predict the next sample value from the past sample. That is another point. Then therefore to implement and in delta modulation, what we are doing? We are taking the difference between the adjacent samples, quantizing and encoding. So the difference between the adjacent sample is nothing but the difference between the present sample and its predicted value. So as I told you, both mean the same. I may say that we are quantizing and encoding the difference between the adjacent sample values, or I may say that we are quantizing and encoding the difference between the present value and its predicted value. So let the present value be denoted as X of NTS and its predicted value be denoted as X cap of NTS. So why NTS is coming here? Because once we take the samples of a signal, isn't it? By notation, the sample signal will be denoted as NTS, because if I write XT means a continuous amplitude, continuous time signal. If I measure the amplitudes of this signal at TS, 2TS, 3TS, I am doing will be represented as X of NTS. So X of NTS denotes the sampled signal. Once we have sampled the signal, the notation of the sampled signal is x of NTS. X of t means input signal. X of NTS means sampled signal. So therefore, what we are saying in delta modulation, we are quantizing and encoding the difference between the present sample, that is x of delay elements. Delay elements. So predictor circuit consists of delay elements. With the knowledge of past sample values, we can easily predict the next value, the present value. So again, I'm repeating, there shouldn't be any confusion that in delta modulation, we are quantizing and encoding the difference between the adjacent samples, just like in DPCM. The same point can be understood in another way, that in delta modulation, we are quantizing and encoding the present value and its predicted value. So practically, we are quantizing and encoding the present value and its predicted value, which is nothing but the difference between the adjacent value. So how did we get the predicted value? We are getting the predicted value of the present value, that means the adjacent value of the present value, from the knowledge of the past value. Because we have oversampled the signal, we have large number of samples, so it is easy to predict the next sample value from the knowledge of the past sample. So the predictor circuit here, you can see here in this diagram, there is also, I'm just giving you explaining this diagram now. So here you can see in this diagram, there is a subtractor here, here a 2-level quantizer and a delay here. This delay is nothing but a predictor circuits. All these details you will do in the theory, so I'm not going into great detail. So therefore, I'm just relating it to the octave programming. The octave programming also some similar kind of things you're going to use here. So now here you can see this diagram. This transmitter consists of how this process is taking place. So there is a subtractor, there is a quantizer, and there is a predictor. Predictor is formed with the help of delays. All this you will do in theory in DCT. So this is a predictor. So what is done here? What are we doing in delta modulation? We are quantizing and encoding the difference between the present sample and its predicted value. You can see here the input is x of NTS, which is the present sample, and x cap of NTS is called the prediction of x of NTS. So difference between present value and its predicted value is called as E of NTS. E of NTS is called as the error sample. So that means in delta modulation, we are quantizing the error signal. Error signal E of NTS is nothing but x of NTS minus the x cap of NTS, which is nothing but the difference between two adjacent samples. This is the present sample and this is its predicted value. The same concept, same thing. Same thing is written in a different way using a prediction concept. So in the delta modulation, we are transmitting the difference between adjacent samples, which is nothing but the difference between the present sample and its predicted value. The predicted value we have obtained from the knowledge of the past value. You can see here the output is fed back as an input to the predictor circuit. Or how it is done, that detail we will do in the theory. So therefore, the difference between the present and its predicted value is called as error sample, which is given to a 2-level quantizer, and the output is BTS, which is nothing but our binary sample or binary signal, which will be encoded by 1 bit. So therefore, you see here. So here again, this 2-level quantizer and delay. Here, if you see the concept here, so because we have a large number of samples, because we have oversampled in delta modulation, which you will see in the program also. So because we have oversampled the input signal, we have large number of signals, a large value of sample values. And because we have large number of samples with us, it is easy to predict the next sample value from its past samples. And therefore, we are using a single delay or single order predictor in the circuit. That is another part of the delta modulation. Second thing is that because we have large number of samples with us, we are able to generate the binary signal or the digital signal encoded by only one bit. Here n is equal to 1. I have written initially only in delta modulation, the number of encoded bit is 1, means each sample is encoded by only one bit. So here you can see in the diagram, there is no encoder here. I have not drawn any encoder block here. The signal which is generated from the two-level quantizer is already encoded by using one bit encoding. So how that is done? That is done using a practical circuit. Here you see, for that you see this diagram. Now in this is an example of showing how the delta modulated signal has been generated practically. So what is here? This you can see this is an analog message signal. Analog message signal is here. Delta modulation provides a staircase approximation U of t to this analog message signal. So a delta modulator will be generating a staircase quantized signal like this, which will increase by step size delta or decrease by, so here it is increasing, again here it is decreasing. This part it is decreasing, all this here it is increasing. So the staircase waveform by the delta modulator increases by step size delta or it decreases by the step size delta in the delta modulator circuit. So that means now in the delta modulator circuit, we have two signals. One is the input signal, another is the staircase approximation of this input signal. Both are compared. So when the U of t, when the staircase approximation is compared with one step, so here one step here, so here you can see ut is more than xt. If you see carefully, ut voltage, this is ut step approximation, is more than xt. So when ut is more than xt, which bit is transmitted? Bit 1 is transmitted. Again here ut is more than xt, which bit is transmitted? Bit 1 is. So bit 1 transmitted by plus v volt, bit 0 transmitted by 0 volt. Again ut is more than xt. ut is less than xt, so bit 0 gets transmitted. Again ut is more than xt, bit 1 gets transmitted. In these portions, what is happening? ut is less than xt, ut is less than xt, ut is less than xt, ut is less than xt. So therefore all bit zeros are transmitted. So this is how we have generated a digital delta model. Input was what? Input was analog. MT is the input. Output delta modulated signal is a digital signal consisting of a sequence of ones and zero, each encoded by one bit, only one bit. When ut is more than xt or ut is more than mt, bit 1 transmitted. When ut is less than xt, bit 0 of samples, and therefore noise power is even reducing further. Output SNR is improving more as compared to TPCM. So these are the characteristics of the delta modulation, which advantages that we are getting. So in this context, one more equation I just want to say here. So these are the equations that you are observing in this diagram. So this is the, so we are in delta modulation, we are encoding the difference between the present value and its predicted value, which is nothing but the difference between the adjacent values. This is one equation. And the output B of NTS, which is representing our DM signal, that DM signal is nothing but is expressed as the error signal, because this difference is called as error. So this error signal passed through a two-level quantizer. So the output is expressed as this E of NTS plus Q of NTS. And this B of NTS, the output DM signal B of NTS, which is the output DM signal B of NTS, is also written as That's delta into signum of E of NTS. So the expression of B of NTS is nothing. That means the delta modulated signal is the step size S multiplied by a signum function. So why are we saying that? What is a signum function? The signum signal is nothing but represents signum of T is nothing but +1 and -1 like this, isn't it? So this is the process which is taking place in delta modulation similar to the signum function, where there is an increase in step size delta or a decrease in step size delta. In case of the staircase approximation, the step size, you can see here, the step size is either increasing by delta or it is decreasing by delta. So and that is compared with the input signal, and we are getting 1 bit encoded output. So since you are getting 1 bit encoding, what is the quantization level? L is equal to 2 to the power n. So 2 to the power 1, that means 2 level quantizer. So here you can see we are specifically writing 2 level quantizer. So 2 level quantizer is designed by a signum function. The 2 level quantizer, which is consisting of step size delta and minus delta, is approximated as a signum function. This 2 level quantizer is the characteristic of the 2 level quantizer is approximated to a signum function. So therefore the equation of the output signal B of NTS is expressed as delta into signum of E of NTS. So why I am specially writing this? Because again this expression is used in the octave programming if you see the programming. So from where this delta into signum E of NTS has come? Because the 2 level quantizer E of NTS is applied to a 2 level quantizer. The characteristic of the 2 level quantizer is approximated to a signum function like this, 2 level, isn't it? Plus delta minus delta. So the equation of B of NTS is expressed as delta into signum of E of NTS. E of NTS we inputted to the 2 level quantizer. So signum, so delta into E of NTS is the expression for the delta modulated binary signal from the circuit. So this is the concept of delta modulation, which you are going to see today in the both in the video demonstration as well as the octave programming. So all of them have same function: PCM, DPCM, DM, ADM. All of them are generating the digital signal from the analog signal. So input signal is analog. You can see this diagram. Input signal is analog. MT is the input signal. Output DM signal is a digital signal. How did we get this? By comparing the staircase approximation with the input signal. When U of t is greater than M of t, at these points, U of t is greater than M of t. So bit 1 is transmitted. When U of t is less than M of t, bit zeros are transmitted. Each sample is encoded by 1 bit. So N is equal to 1, L equal to 2 to the power 2, 2 level quantizer used. So the equation of the output signal is expressed as delta into signum of E of NTS, because of the 2 level quantizer is characterized as a signum function. I hope you have all understood. More details you will do in the theory. So other details. So I think I have explained now. So madam, do you have some video demonstration for delta modulation?
Yes, madam. Yeah.
हाँ, तो उसको दिखा दीजिए. I think explanation is almost complete now. So video demonstration दिखा दीजिए, फिर programming कर लेंगे.
मैम
हाँ आपका हम हो गया मैडम. मल्टीपल पार्टिसिपेंट इज हाँ sure.
is it audible, ma'am?
Madam, audio is not coming. Audio?
Yes, ma'am. Just a second, madam. Actually, I have changed my this OS. That's why something problem in that. I have to do that one.
No problem.
And next time, if no problem, then next time we can share.
Now you cannot run it.
Actually, I don't know what to do in that.
Oh, in your laptop, you're not able to run it.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, before it was 8. Now I made it 10, Windows 10. That's why setting has got changed.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. That is the reason I think it is not audible.
You can share it in the Google Classroom, nahi to,
Okay, ma'am. I will share in the classroom. It will be better.
Student will see it from there.
Okay, ma'am. Now only I am sharing. Okay. Thank you.
Sumit sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Regarding the program is also, ma'am, the one which is shared by our lab in charge. Actually, that is incomplete, ma'am. So we have to ask her to send us the complete program.
Oh, that program is not complete.
No, it is not, and it's somehow hardly it is generating the delta modulation signal, but there is nothing about demodulation. So we need to ask her to send us the complete program.
Only we can show the delta modulation then. If that is running, is it running?
It is running, but I have to check. I thought we will show it completely at once. If we will get that program, just like we are sharing the program, complete program, we can share it in Google Classroom. And if there is any problem, we can discuss it in the next class.
Okay.
And one more thing, ma'am, regarding the upcoming experiments, students, please listen to me. We have to use a new software, GNU Radio. Ma'am, we discussed this in last meeting. I think you were not there.
Kalpana, I was not there. I was not there.
So regarding them, I am making this announcement. So students, in Google Classroom, I am just posting one statement. For experiment number 6, 7, and 8, we have to use a software called GNU Radio. Okay, this software is free to use, free to download, and the link is given in the Google Classroom stream. You will go into that stream, and then there are different versions available. The version which we will be downloading and using is GR 3.8. 3.8 is the keyword here. So download that version. You will get this entire week. Whenever you have got some spare data, then you can download this software. It is going to take a memory around 400 to 600 MB. Download this software, install it, and be ready in the next class. Okay, so everyone, make sure that you download this software, and then in the next class we will be using this software for our program. Okay, it is easy to use, it is easy to visualize, it is very helpful. It is far better than the software programming. So we will be using that software. Okay, so that link is already shared in the Google Classroom. Try to download it using that link.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, could you repeat what you told? Actually, in my side, network was not good. I got disconnected.
Actually, just for next 3 experiments, we will be using a new software, GNU Radio. This is the name of the software.